So I had a missed super chat, and I have it here. The Competent Man for $5. Contingent convertibles pay higher interest, but have a provision in a crisis they are wiped out first. Bail in, boomers go boom. And so it was kind of what I thought. It was the lower tier. There is a crisis, they don't get paid. And to kind of simplify this a lot for the average person who works a real job, it isn't some scuzz sucking piece of shit banker. If you are a company and you are not as profitable, or it's whether or not we don't know if you're going to be profitable, but you look at someone's cash flow saying, well, you got that much cash flow and you're this profitable, and you do have some assets, and you do have that many liabilities. What they'll do with mezzanine or tier financing is like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll lend you the money only under the agreement that we are paid off first if there's any kind of bankruptcy or anything like that. And it looks like, this is from my previous video I did, where Competent Man said, oh, they're A1. I think what you were saying, Competent Man, is that the bonds, these convertible securities were A1 rated by the rating agencies. Does this sound familiar again, boys and girls? And they got wiped out. So I looked into it, and here we are. Oh, before I do that, so I clicked on this one link. I looked Credit Suisse, A1 bonds, things like that. And it says, oh, they paid up on it. I'm like, they paid up on it? Did they pay it up today? I looked at the date, and it's like, oh, 2022. They paid this a year ago. Everything's fine here. Just a bunch of small needle dick bankers trying to avoid real work, as you always do. So from the Wall Street Journal, and oh, by the way, for all the people at Credit Suisse First Boston, you could have hired me. You could have avoided this. Many years ago, I sent copious amounts of resumes to you. I wasn't good enough. I didn't live in the YCZ. I didn't go to Harvard. I'm just better and smarter than all of you, which isn't really hard. That's all right. Another bank that was just too good. Too good for you blue-collar types who paid your way through college. This is like the girlfriend who dumped you that got fat. This really is. All right. Credit Suisse bond wipeout threatens $250 billion market. Credits. Oh, I got to pay for this? No, I don't want to. I'm not going to pay for this. Is the Financial Times going to? It says Credit Suisse AT1s vaporized. Except cookies. Boom. Only time will tell whether UBS ends up ruining or celebrating its swoop for Credit Suisse. But the biggest losers of a wild weekend are undoubtedly investors in Credit Suisse AT1 bonds. Additional tier 1 bonds. That's bad when it's like tier B or tier X or tier 5. Are a creature of the post-financial crisis regulatory architecture for Europe. In addition to carrying far more plain equity, big banks are forced to issue contingent convertible bonds that could be quickly transformed into more equity or just wiped out in a crisis. Okay, so you take the equity position, which you equity shareholders have paid dead last, and thereby hopefully make a taxpayer bailout less likely. The most common form of these COCO bonds are just known as AT1 because their design means that banks can count them towards their overall loss-absorbing Tier 1 capital. 24 Asset Management has an excellent explainer. All right. Credit Suisse issued a big fat chunk of them in the past decade. Here's a presentation that Credit Suisse gave to investors last week as it was battling to save itself, which says it had 14.7 Swiss francs of AT1 bonds outstanding at the end of 2022. And just looking at here, Swiss Capital Investments. I'm not going to take the time. Credit Suisse AT1 bonds were taken to the woodshed last week as fears about its financial health exploded. But this Sunday, they actually rallied hard from lows of 20 to 24 cents on the dollar to 50 to 70 cents on the dollar. So people will get about 60 cents on their dollar that they lent essentially to Credit Suisse. As hopes grew that the UBS takeover would see them shielded. After all, if UBS was paying Credit Suisse shareholders $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion, then surely the AT1s would be shielded. They couldn't possibly give the equity at least they couldn't possibly give the equity at least a consolation payment and fiddle with creditors, even if they are the most junior creditors possible? Surely. Our private creditors of Suisse. Hang on. Oh, that's just an advertisement. Whoops. Clearly, the Swiss regulators looked at the instruments and felt confident that they have the legal backing to vaporize the AT1s. The standard threshold is when common equity tier 1 falls below 7%, but we think they can often be triggered at a national regulator's discretion, basically when they reckon the bank is non-viable. A separate Credit Suisse press release puts the value of AT1 bonds being wiped out at 16 billion Swiss francs. We're not sure what explains the discrepancy with the Swiss government statement and last week's presentation, but it's probably related to different parts of the CS. I got an idea. Why don't you sell all your assets and find out? Find out to, what is it, a Pfennig? What is a subdivision of a franc? Find out. Liquidate. Let's see. Let's see what it is to the penny. What is clear is that this was a swift nuking of Credit Suisse's AT1s beyond the immediate pain for the holders. We suspect this is going to be viewed unfavorably by investors in the broader European AT1 market. Oh, yeah, all the other banks that do your funny little money financing. All right. I am glad all you scumbag, work-avoidant, wheeling and dealing scumbuckets who both participated in issuing these bonds, shares, securities, are getting wiped out. And I'm also glad for all you boomer, like wheeler and dealer bros. Oh, no, it's not. I'm glad because what? It ain't my generation. Zoomers, millennials ain't got no money. Oh, is it the boomers that are? Oh, it's too bad your investments are going. That's so bad. I guarantee you there is not young people investing in these quasi-hybrid complex securities that could just be gone because the government says so. So I am happy. I am rejoiceful. Just didn't want to miss that super chat there. Link below is a link to my book called Behind the Housing Crash. You can see what these cocksuckers did 15 years ago. It's the same people. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.